So myself and the rest of the Manto team are always really keen to upskill and become better filmmakers. We're going to actually set ourselves the challenge of trying to recreate a shot from one of our favourite films. Obviously this shot isn't going to look identical. I'm no David Fincher. There's loads of different things that go into making a shot, whether that be production design, makeup, costume, the acting. But we're solely going to be focusing on how they lit this and the camera work that they used to shoot it. But hopefully you can learn a thing or two about the process of lighting a scene indoors on a budget. So we've chosen a shot from The Social Network, which is a 2010 film directed by David Fincher. Even though on the surface it's essentially about the origin story of the guy that made Facebook, it's way more than that. It's got some great examples of really great visual storytelling, some superb script writing, so it's a favourite within the office. The DOP for the film was Jeff Cronenworth, who's worked with David Fincher on numerous other films such as Fight Club and also Gone Girl. Interestingly, the whole film has quite a consistent, very neutral tone. It was shot on a digital red camera, and actually, bar one handheld shot towards the end of the film at quite a poignant moment, the rest of the film is either locked off on a tripod or shot on a dolly. So this shot in particular that we're going to try and recreate is very much sort of abides by all those rules of the rest of the film. The whole film was shot on f-stop 1.3, so that's actually creating this really nice blurry background, which we call shallow depth of field, and that's really making the subject pop in comparison to what's happening in the background. Overall, the scene is pretty simplistic, but it's also quite dark and ambient. This is mainly due to the practical lights that we've got going on in the background. So this just means lights that are physically in the scene. So we've got like a lamp over here. We've also got some sort of tube light and a few specular lights in the corner. Harvey pointed out it does something very well called checkerboard lighting, which is essentially where you've got all of these highlights here, so these white points, so like his shirt, the background, sort of specular lights in the corner, his face even, and then you've also got the contrast. So you've got the window, which it looks sort of nighttime, evening, and then you've obviously got his laptop, you've got the chair or his hoodie, his tie, and some blackness down there. When you're looking at it like that, it looks like a checkerboard. It's got these highlights and these contrasts, and that's creating a really satisfying image for the audience to look at. So this softness that I was speaking about, you can see it throughout the scene, mainly on his face. So usually you'd have like highlights on one side of the face and then shadows on the other side, which is usually the way that you're shooting towards. So that is relevant here, but it's very soft, what you call it. It's got a really nice fall off. So which is the difference between like the highlights and the shadow. That's usually done just by having a really diffused lighting setup. So the light is probably coming from the back here and is actually hitting the background rather than directly on his face. So if you light the place, then that will have an effect on the light on the face to create that really natural look. So that's where the main motivation of the light is coming from. I'm sure you're getting a bit of motivation from his laptop, obviously, which is a slightly cooler light which is hitting off his face here, as well as you're getting light from the practical lights in the scene. So I think when we recreate this, to create that really soft lighting, we're just going to diffuse the hell out of it, like put a load of diffusion over our main light source. That's going to create that really soft effect on his face. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of how we've broken apart this image. Knowing that theory, let's have a crack and see if we can do this ourselves. So I'll rope in Harvey and we're going to give ourselves 30 minutes to try and recreate this shot.
Very important.
Just go closer, but then if you go closer, you lose the background. I just don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, straight away I'm like, oh god, actually the headroom.
Yeah.
So maybe we need to bring the camera lower.
Lower and tilt it. Yeah, lower and closer.
Yeah, good spot.
This is chaotic. It's really chaotic.
It's so hard.
It's giving chaos.
Alright, so let's have a little walk around and see what we have created. It's quite a chaotic setup, but it kind of makes sense to us. So yeah, we started with the key light here. That was the 300D, so that was bright enough for this sort of setup. And basically we wanted this as diffused and as soft as possible. So I think it was running around 70%. We've got 2 levels of diffusion and we're going through 2 layers of shears as well, so that's really nice and soft. We put the 120D on the spotlight there. We wanted it to hit against the back wall, but due to spacing we couldn't really get a good spot for it. It was being blocked by the chair, so what we did was we just fired it down into gold reflect on the floor there, and then that was just throwing a little bit of gold up onto the wall. Very nice, very nice. And then we had a couple of practicals in the background. Just a lamp, and we used the MT here as a little bit of a tube light, and this was helping to sort of separate the subject from the background. Yeah, lamp there just to raise all the levels. Bit of neg for a bit of contrast. Job's a good one. Thanks for watching.